shake it up. Shaking up the garbage we feed on. Shaking up our wondrous being. Let's begin to reform. Even if just for a moment, to share the cloying and suffocating skin. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Let's shake it up right now. Shake it up. Languishing in thoughts, lucidity doesn't benefit the greater cause. Driving blind and clawing wildly, wreaking havoc. The Creative Shake-Up podcast would like to welcome Stanley Lumb, and I like to sometimes shorten names, Stan. I don't particularly like being called Raymond. It always makes me feel like I've done something naughty if people call me Raymond. It's like mum, yeah. So I'm gonna say Stan, if that's okay with you. Yeah. But great.
Okay, yeah.
Great to be with you. Great to be with you. Now, I met you through Little Oggy, through a creative friend, and Little Oggy's podcast, which is Sing When You're Winning, which is football related. And you recorded an episode, and we just recorded an episode as well, a second one. You're a very, very productive person. And I want you to, before we move into a little bit on God's Room, because it was something you mentioned last time, and it genuinely, yeah, exactly.
We are in God. I'm in God's room right now.
Totally.
We're here.
Totally.
In the moment.
So I think we need to begin there then. I think before we go into some of the things that you're doing at the moment, you said that in Little Oggy's podcast, and it genuinely struck me. If you remember, I came back to it. And then I picked it as a title for this. I thought it'd be a brilliant name for a song, and I still do. So tell us a little bit what that meant when you said it and what it means. You kind of scanned us around the room. What does that mean, God's Room?
So God's room basically just means like, so in this situation, like I am God, and then like the room is like all the things. So in this room, like it's just all of my like prized possessions, all my favourite things is everywhere. And like all the things that I love, almost in a way like all the things that I worship, kind of, you know what I mean? Like I love the music and I worship the music in a way. But not to the, that's where the full God thing comes in, where I kind of, almost as a point where it's kind of like a religion, to the point with how much I love my music, if I'm being honest. So,
no, I totally get you there. And so I'm doing it a little bit different to how I normally do it, but I'm being led by you, which is brilliant. So describe to me, because when people talk about religion, there's fervour, there's passion, there's a deep connection. So for you, describe the process of writing music, because you've written your own music. Describe to me how it feels to kind of take these thoughts, these feelings, this music, and combine them together. How would you describe how that feels?
So it's kind of like there's a full thought process when you're writing a song. It depends if you there's like a topic of the song that you want to write about, or it could be a certain situation you want to write about. But for me, one time when I wrote my first ever song, it was when my mum gave me a pen and paper and stuff, because I wanted to songwrite. And it was when, I think I mentioned this on the one that I did with Little Oggy, the first one. It was I had a football match in the morning, and then I had an idea of a first verse in my head. Literally, as soon as I went to sleep. You know when you start thinking of things when you go to sleep?
Yeah.
That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
And then I went back to sleep after writing it down, and then I thought of a chorus. And then the next day I was there, like, and I had the full structure of a song, and I'm looking at releasing that quite soon, actually.
Fantastic. And bringing into kind of people identifying with you, finding you, we're going to share this throughout. Is that going to be released under your name, or I know you're with a band, the Stags, with double A in the middle. You've already got a song out. But is that going to be released by the band or released by you? What do you think? Without putting you
I
on the
think
spot.
this year I want to I do want to do a lot of stuff with the band, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I feel like if I want the audience to connect with me as a person
yeah.
musically, and I want to tell my story
Mm,
through my music, I think I'll get that through more if I did stuff on my own as well.
yeah,
So I'd
yeah,
like to do the band, but I'd
yeah.
also like to promote my solo career as well, which I've been doing a few acoustic gigs and stuff locally, and just getting my name out there, people hearing my songs, hearing my story, and yeah, just story of life really. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's really, again, well described. With a band, with any number of people, sometimes it's challenging to organise because you're talking about bringing 3, 4, 5 people together at the same time, and sometimes that's challenging. Whereas when you're a solo artist, just practically, sometimes it can be easier because your time is your time, and you decide when.
Yeah.
So I think to have both is good. Why not? Why not? So that's
Yeah.
brilliant. So that's really, really interesting. And you sound to me like you're a spontaneous creator. And what I mean is that it arrives when it arrives. The description you gave. So where do you write from? And what I mean by that is, what do you think are some of the central themes of you and your experience in life that's brought you to this desire to share? So you're sharing messages as a creator. What are some of the core values of you that you want to share with other people?
Mainly just, I think it's just experiences really, is what I write about. I mainly just write about my experiences, and I write about just things that I've done, things that I've gone through. And then other than that, alternatives is that I like to also just write about just everything, like situations I've been in, and I like to write about like little things, like core things about other people maybe, or like it could be a reference to something or stuff like that. Really.
Yeah, it's about observing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could you give us example of at the stage of life you're at, that things that you've experienced that you think are important to share for other people to in what you create?
Just progress really.
Yeah.
Mainly just doing it as often as I can, just writing what I want to write, getting the message across, making sure they all have meanings. That's what I like to do when I write a song. I don't want to write a song which doesn't have a meaning.
Yeah.
When I write a song, I look at it and I think, this song, there's more meaning when you write an original song, when you perform an original song, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And when you do a cover, it's good, but I feel like there's more meaning and more passion when you perform those original songs, because it means something to you as the writer. And it also means more to the audience as well, I feel like, because they're going to connect with me more as a musician and as what like they're listening to. Definitely.
Yeah, totally. You can make a cover version your own. Funny enough, I'm doing it the other way round. In my creative life, I was almost a little bit anti-cover version, a little bit. I wasn't directly. I just didn't like it. I thought live events, even open mics, it should have original music. And sometimes people are a bit negative towards original music. So I thought it should be both. But I'm tending now to do a few more cover versions. And what's interesting is when you sing a song and you look at the lyrics of a song that's already out, you start learning stuff about a song that you didn't realise. You know, right, I didn't realise those were the words, and that's what this feels about. You do make it your own. When it is your own, well, that's like bearing your soul. That's like bearing your soul. You're kind of saying, this is me. This song is me. And I think that's an exceptional thing to do. And you do a mixture of both, don't you, Stan? When you're performing. So tell us a little bit. We got so much, plenty of time, so there's tons of things we can share. We're already covering a lot, which is brilliant. Tell us a little bit, first of all, and I'll ask you about this again later, some of the live performances that you've already done to date, what they were like, what kind of songs you did, that type of thing, if you can.
Well, I think with live performances, It definitely depends on your crowd. When you're making a set list, you've got to think about what what's going to please the crowd, what will go down well. So say like I did with the band, we did a wedding last year, someone's wedding, and for that we mainly focused on trying to get more covers out there that people know. But it is good to kind of dabble into original music, but people have come there to enjoy themselves, have a dance. So any original songs we were to do would be ones which were a bit like dancey and stuff, or like, but the set list really just consists of covers when it's something like that.
And did you, just out of interest, it's not a negative question, did you do an original song at the wedding, or was it only covers?
No, I think we were at the time where we were kind of dabbling into both, really. So we did quite a few originals, to be fair.
Did you? But, wow, well done. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Well.
Brilliant. That's cool. That's cool. I bet, that was a nice experience for them as well to have a mixture, yeah?
Yeah, it's a nice experience for not only them, but it's good for us as well. Like, seeing people enjoy our original music and not like someone. It's a brilliant feeling. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I kind of keep getting this feeling of this. Sometimes people are awkward around divinity. They're awkward around the thought of God and things like that. It's kind of, it's this or it's this. So you either believe or you don't believe. Now, for me, when you said God's room, okay, it really struck a chord with me. It really struck a chord with me because I feel the process of creating music, writing, it's inspirational. It's in some ways divine. So you are creating, you are a creator. So there has to be some kind of spiritual experience in that process. And if you think I'm going back to the days of the Beatles now, but many people have followed on from them. They were very much about that kind of almost looking beyond a little bit, that unknown. It wasn't all about, the physical world. It was stuff that was coming in from sort of different directions type thing. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that?
Definitely. I feel like when writing stuff, I feel like it is quite a spiritual process, actually. I feel like quite a lot of music that I like to listen to is just, it's very, like, say if I'm writing stuff or if I'm trying to focus on something, I like to listen, like chanting?
Yeah. Yep.
Like Templars chant. I like to listen to stuff like that just to make me focus and to think like, how can I give this song meaning? How can I tell a story? How can I get this out to the listeners?
Yeah.
Is what I think. And I like to promote my music through making people have a connection with me as the artist spiritually. So yeah, absolutely. And that's a deeper level connection, frequency, wavelength. And people say, don't they, we're on the same wavelength. And where does that come from? That's not something that you see. Yeah, that's something that you experience. When you think of vibration, vibration. There is vibration in music. There are patterns. You mentioned chanting. So when those kind of vibrations of energy, you're sharing energy, and even rock and roll. Rock and roll is very, very close to a spiritual experience. If you've watched the recent film about Elvis, the portrayal of his life, have you seen it? Really good film, yeah.
Yeah. And what happened in regard to the formation of this being, Elvis. It was a combination of religion, lots of other things going on sort of around him. And,
it's his background, really. That's kind of what, because he kind of grew up around this, like, I think it was all like the churches he saw and all the singing and dancing that he was influenced, because like he'd grown up in an area which was like mainly like black people, and they've like their sound when they do the music and stuff is like they kind of kept that to themselves. But then when he discovered it and discovered that this sound and the way that he danced, people at first were a bit like, why is he trying to like imitate these other people? But then he started to find his own style because he was the first one to really go outside of the box, put himself out there, and to show himself what his background was, and like to share different cultures, and he liked to, make that a global thing.
Absolutely.
Without even leaving the US, actually. He stayed in the US, didn't he?
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I think when you said about going outside the box, why it's going to sound a negative question, why do you think people try to keep people within a box? It can happen musically that people limit people restrict people. Elvis's experience with his manager, if that was the case, obviously we assume it wasn't, there's a lot of document to say, was trying to hold him back. So if you think sometimes people do that, people say, oh, well, do this, don't do this. And I understand discipline. I understand we can't just randomly go around, hurting people. And I know you're not that person, but I'm interested to know, where do you think that comes from with people limiting people?
I think mainly I think people like to, if we're talking musically wise, people like to stick to their own genre. And if we link this to music, I feel like as a musician, I with the band and myself, we like to dabble into different genres.
Brilliant.
With keeping it our style, but like doing our songs but with a twist. So say we could do a song a bit more punky, we could do something a bit more heavy, a bit more indie, maybe like some form of, we're currently working on like some form of like reggae, like offbeat drum pattern thing. But I feel like it shouldn't be like a thing, like certain things, we shouldn't be like segregated into these different genres. I feel like it's okay to get out there and share these different sounds, because as listeners and as people, we have the gift of learning about all these other cultures and stuff, and they use the different sounds, which can really benefit a lot of artists and bands and stuff with introducing others to new sounds and new different techniques and stuff that they like to use. I think it's brilliant.
Wow.
We get to share that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a privilege, isn't it? Privilege and honor. And when you think of those energies combining together, a word I've become aware of, I'd strongly recommend it. I'd recommend the book, which I can't believe I'm saying to you, a book called The Alchemist. The Alchemist. And I can't remember, I always get the name of the guy who wrote it wrong, but it's fascinating. It's a really, really unusual book. But the whole idea of alchemy is almost a little bit like chemistry. People use the word chemistry. So if you think of chemistry, you're bringing together a number of different ingredients. And within that, you're then forming a different mixture. And listening to you, that's what you've already got. You've already got that awareness. You've got that awareness of the alchemy. So you can mix different genres, you can mix different people, you can bring them together. And when you think of that cocktail, that mixture, that's really, really interesting. That's really, really interesting. And I know we talked about this in the first episode you did with Little Oggy, and I know we've just recorded one, which is your bass player from Nigeria.
Yes.
Does that make a difference in a good way? I mean that, as in, yeah, that's a different culture completely.
I think definitely, because he grew up with a completely different musical background. Like with his music, he was actually I actually discovered when I first was learning about him and he was learning about me, just talking to each other and stuff. His music, he did like a marching snare.
Right. Yep.
Like a snare. It was part of a marching band when he was in Nigeria.
Wow.
So it's all that kind of like that, like skanky rhythm and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like, I thought that was really cool, and I'd like to use that in the future. I think for certain projects, I'd like to mix some of his like culture from like what he's heard in Nigeria, what he's grown up with, that music, to what I've grown around, which is all the indie stuff and the Britpop. And if we can mix this like rock sound with like a funky like sound, with like a traditional sound, I feel like we could engage the audience to listen to us, because then they'd learn about him and learn about me and everyone else in the band more through our sound.
Wow. Wow. So I want to emphasize again, the Stags, you've got a single out. Remind me, please, Stan, what's the single?
The single is Nothing's New, it's called. And yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, Nothing's New.
Yeah. Everywhere, I should imagine. I know.
Yeah, all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all stuff like YouTube, all places like that, really, yeah.
And this is where I know I've done a couple of lives. I'm going a bit more live into TikTok now. Get me. Doing my TikTok thing.
Yeah.
And I know you've been there, which thank you very much. I'm very grateful for that. I know you're in Instagram. I know you're everywhere. Have you got any direct plans for releasing music in terms of, have you got a timescale? Obviously, you must be doing exams at the moment or studying, I can imagine.
Yeah, like revision at the moment. So I feel like this year, when I get all that sorted, again, that's like, when I get all that sorted, I feel like I just want to go out there and just show the world who I am, really. So there's certain things, if you want to do stuff, you've got to work for it. Like I said earlier, with like it's kind of like if you want to get to the finish line of anything, there's obstacles. So the GCSE stuff is kind of like that obstacle.
Yeah.
I just want to be fair, I could easily just like dedicate my entire life to music, but then I've got all these other things as the obstacles. But I feel like if I just focus on that music thing after the GCSEs, and when I'm in college, I think that I'm going to do music in college, so I'll just be focusing on music entirely after that. So when that obstacle's gone, I just want to focus on my music, make myself the best version that I am, and hopefully I'll be able to carry on performing, releasing music, and just getting out there.
That's fantastic. How do you think, this is a real sideways question, how do you think the obstacles can become opportunities?
The obstacles can become opportunities through, like, just in general, with all the things going on. Maybe the obstacles, let's say GCSEs could cause me a bit of stress. If I wanted to write a song about that, that could give me the opportunity to get out there, basically. So the obstacles then can become things that can benefit me, because I can talk about that in my songs and release it so they know about the obstacles.
And genuinely, the reason I asked you the question is because I knew you knew. And the amazing thing is, it's taken me quite a lot of life to learn that, which is okay, by the way, that I now look at, if I come up against something, an obstacle, a barrier, a prevention, a restriction, I don't do particularly well with those, and I don't like people saying you can't do this. Who do you think you are? You're this age. It's ridiculous. I don't hear that. I don't even understand it. It's not a currency my mind operates in anymore. So what I'm sharing is, I look at when the things stop me from doing things, they're training me as to how I can achieve what it is I want to achieve. So I think it's very similar for you. So the process you're going through at the moment is training you for what happens next. It's the same for all of us, always. So the obstacles are the opportunities they create, and that could be of use to some listening. Some listening could think, well, I can't do things because this is stopping me doing that. So you could say, I can't do my music because I've got to do my flipping exams. You could say that. You could, couldn't you? And that's how some people might. That's how some people might think, which is understandable, but not particularly very helpful to what the ultimate is. But it sounds to me like you're thinking, hold on a minute. Everything I experience is an opportunity.
Exactly, which kind of links back to the thing you were on about earlier about like how like it's one or the other. Like I feel like you should just use everything that you've got going on. So obviously, like I'm not just going to stop music for my exams, because music is my passion. Yeah. And then obviously with the exams, I'm going to focus on them as well, and then go back to the music. Like I can't just completely throw that out the window, because that's my life. Music is life. It is my life. Yeah. And it brings people together. So I can't just take that away, because that like I've been born like to do music, I feel like, in a way. So I can't just chuck that away.
Totally. It's a gift, isn't it? It's a
It's
gift.
it,
So
definitely,
like you said about, chucking it away, if you let go of it, give it away, surrender it, you're letting go of a gift, and you're not. So that's great. So I think let's begin with, in conclusion, the ultimate pathway from God's room to God's room being, which it is anyway. It's not just your room, but it is. That's a creative space that you use, but also into the expansive nature of you and everything you're doing. So I'd like you to begin with, what are some of the ultimate goals, and then I'd like you to conclude with where people can find you, what performances you've got coming up, type thing. So let's begin with let's begin with the ultimate heaven. Let's begin with Nirvana. Let's begin with Nirvana, and then we'll bring it back down to what's happening before we reach that point.
The ultimate goal really is to just be able to share my music with everyone, no matter who you are, where you come from. I just want people to enjoy my sound, and hopefully other people in the future. I'd like to be the people to be inspired by. So I've been inspired by Oasis, for example. I want the next generation to be inspired by me, because I wanted to do a mixture of different sounds, and I wanted to create my own sound with all these different sounds. And I feel like it would be great if I could one day be an inspiration to people, which is kind of what is going on at school. There's all these other bands and year groups starting. They are inspired by like our story, how we started in school, and then we're getting ourselves out there performing and stuff, and how we're successing and releasing music and stuff. These other people in school want to do what we're doing and are inspired by me, and the band, which it really makes me happy. It does.
Oh, fantastic. So where can people find you? Thank you so much, Stan. You've been amazing. Where can people find you, and what's some of the immediate stuff? Where are you going to be locally, for example?
So you can find me on all social medias as Stanley Lumb Music, and then the band stuff is The Stags Official on all socials, which is 2 A's. I've actually got a pic off Bella, actually, if you can see that on the camera.
Oh wow!
She got that done, and she gave it me on my birthday.
That.
How cool is that?
Oh, cool! I love that, with sky blue as well, of course. Yeah.
Yes, mate. Of course.
And what I'm going to say is, all if you send links, email me links, and I'll make sure they're all in the description, so people can find you on the socials. And what about the immediate, where you're performing, kind of coming up over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so the big one really is I'm performing at St Mary's Chambers on the 24th of January with the Stags as the penultimate act, with Shoe On, who are headlining. So yeah, it'll be good to perform. We're going to do, I think we're going to do Nothing's New, the song that's on Spotify. I think we might do a few other originals as well, do quite a lot of originals that we are planning to get out in this upcoming year, which is very busy for us. And yeah, you can just catch us anywhere. I will let you know. You'll see it all on the social media where I am. So yeah.
Fantastic. So give Stanley a follow if you haven't already. Stanley Lumb Music. And it's been brilliant spending time with you. Keep in touch. Let us know how you're progressing. And I think it'd be great to record something. If you've got a single coming out, for example, in the future, which you will have, then let us know, and we'll get you back on the Creative Shake-Up podcast then.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
He's helped me a lot in my music career, and he's a big inspiration, and he did buy me my first ever guitar, funnily enough. So he's massively, like, when I was little, he was in a band called Swamp Dogs.
Right.
I've never heard of them. And I used to sit there, and he gave me a little tambourine. And I used to go on stage with the tambourine, checking it about like I'm the absolute biggest rock star. So I think ever since day one, I just knew.
He got this now, though, from the Stags. Now, if you remember a few months back, the Stags actually came into the studio, completely took over the place. There were drum kits, there were amps everywhere. We didn't have any neighbours at the time. We've got new neighbours now. If we have the Stags back, I think I might have to warn the neighbours in the office block next door, because they were big, they were loud, and they were brilliant. And this is from them. It's called Nothing New. This is it's a great tune, though. It is new. It's newish. Here on 104.7 Rossendale Radio, the voice of fun.
Play with my